In my last MCU ranking video or phase ranking video, I talked about how phase 4 is much larger than the previous ones and how it envelops movies and TV shows. And this video is going to be ranking the top 5 TV series I believe you should watch for phase 4, leading up to Avengers Doomsday. Now, this is tough because I started making these lists for people that don't have a ton of time to watch everything in the MCU, and that's fine. But if you come up with extra time or if you're just interested or whatever, you'll have this list to go over the TV shows that the MCU has done as well. Now, Phase 4, as I mentioned, has a lot of TV shows. To list them, they are WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, I Am Groot, and She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And this list is going to be interesting because there's a couple on this list that I've kind of touched on in my previous video, but a couple on this list that are honestly more important than most of, if not all of the movies in this phase. And there's a couple that are just like, could be important, could not be. But I'll tell you the two most important when I get to them. But funny enough, we're starting with one of them, and that is WandaVision. WandaVision is something that blends the style of classic sitcoms with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which Wanda Maximoff and Vision, two superpowered beings living their ideal suburban life, begin to suspect that everything is not as it seems. And this is a very interesting one because the style alone. When this was coming out, that was one of the big selling points for a lot of people. They were like, wow, this is unique. Like, Marvel is definitely stepping out of their comfort zone and doing something different. And it does shine through in this show. I mean, the whole vibe of it alone is so interesting. The premise is intriguing. The mystery is, very interesting, and you're trying to solve it. I remember watching this with my wife or girlfriend at the time, and we were just like trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And you'll catch yourself doing that too. But that's not the only reason you should watch this. This is a show that is very, very important to Wanda as a character. Understanding where she's at when you get to see her in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is one of those movies that I listed you should watch for this phase. However, you should watch this before you watch that. And this is why. Just understanding where Wanda's at emotionally, mentally, on her hero's journey. Understanding this kind of shows you a different lens into the events or the aftermath of the last two Avengers movies, that being Endgame and Infinity War. And it takes Wanda in a surprising and interesting direction, as well as Vision. It kind of, I don't want to spoil it, but, this show does a lot for Vision as well. And where the show leaves off, I think it's definitely one of those shows that you need to see, because a lot of this stuff is going to come back. And I think Wanda will play a big role in Doomsday in an indirect way, or a way that a lot of people are not expecting. So with that being said, this is a must watch. And this is one of those that I was telling you guys is better than and more important than most of the movies in this phase, which is surprising considering it's Marvel's first, or the MCU's first, real dive into TV. Obviously, Marvel has had attempts at TV with Daredevil and stuff, but this is a really solid first outing. Next up, I have The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And this one is another easy one to include. It's not as important as as WandaVision, but this show follows the events of Avengers Endgame, Sam Wilson / Falcon and Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, teaming up in a global adventure that tests their abilities and their patience in Marvel Studios' The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And this is one big for so many reasons. Okay, number one, the relationship, as I just mentioned, between Sam and Bucky, where Sam is at as a character and as a hero, and whether or not he's willing to take on the responsibility that Steve gave him and left him, dealing with Bucky and his mental state after the events of Endgame and everything that happened with Steve. And it also introduces a few new characters. Well, really just one main character that you have to focus on. And yeah, he's pretty, from the looks of it, pretty important to the future of the MCU. So I think this is a really important one to watch because of the the places it leaves our heroes in and the journey it takes them on in this show with Sam and Bucky, and understanding kind of the struggle that Sam is going through, and the struggle Bucky's going through, because they don't just drop that, and I really like that they include that because it makes it feel very real, and it makes our heroes feel very human, even though obviously they are, but you know what I mean. And like I mentioned, the introduction of a certain character in this show is pretty damn important. So I think it's a really, really good one to watch. And I think it's like I mentioned, also integral. So it's a no-brainer for me. Next up, I have the second show that I was hinting at when I said, there's two in this phase that are super duper important and super good. Loki. Loki is an amazing, amazing show. And honestly, probably my favorite show of this phase. It's kind of up in the air, but either way, in Marvel Studios' Loki, the mercurial villain Loki resumes his role as the god of mischief in a new series that takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame. And that's something I'm talking about. So if you guys have noticed, if you've watched my previous rankings of these lists, I kind of touched on that Endgame and Infinity War does things in those movies that set up events and set up entire TV shows. Well, this is one of those TV shows, and these are the events. And it's very, very integral. Number one, it's just a really good TV show. It does a lot for Loki's character growth and his character as a whole. It makes you sympathize with him. It makes you understand him as a person and as a god. And it just adds a lot of depth and a lot of context to Loki and his world that we didn't really get before. It also introduces something like an organization that has existed but we did not know about, that is literally going to be super integral. Okay, I don't really know how else to say it without getting into deep spoilers for you guys, but this show is going to be probably the most integral to Avengers Doomsday out of most things we've gotten so far. And I mean that with confidence. Now, obviously, I cannot say for sure because I have not seen Doomsday, unfortunately. But I will say, if I had to put my money on it, I would say this show is going to be a big, big deal for that movie. I can't say much else without spoiling it for you guys, but if you watch the show, you're welcome to come back here. We could talk about it in the comments. If you're not trying to get spoiled, though, just beware of the comments. But yeah, this show, in my opinion, is just really important for the character and for what is going to happen in Doomsday. That's all I could say without really spoiling much else. Moving on to the number 4 spot, I have Hawkeye. Former Avenger Clint Barton has a seemingly simple mission: get back to his family for Christmas. Is it possible? Maybe, with the help of Kate Bishop, a 22-year-old archer with dreams of becoming a superhero. The two are forced to work together when a presence from Barton's past threatens to derail far more than the festive spirit. Now, this one is, number one, a really fun show, especially if you're watching it around the holiday, but also just a really important one, too, because of the introduction of Kate Bishop and what it does for Hawkeye's character. It kind of it furthers Hawkeye's character development, both with his family and him as a hero. It introduces Kate Bishop as a new, younger hero, and that will play a bigger role in the greater MCU. Although, I will admit, when this came out, I thought it would be a much bigger role by now. It is not yet, but with that being said, I'm not completely ruling it out. And also, I still think it will play a large part. I think she's a very interesting character, and I think their relationship is very good. And just the way the show wraps up, I think you're going to want to watch it just to see where Hawkeye ends up, where Kate Bishop ends up, and some introduction of some other characters into the show, especially one that literally ties something that we thought was completely separate from the MCU into the MCU, for sure. So they did it in Spider-Man No Way Home a little bit, And I'm still not going to spoil that because while this is a different video, it's still the same phase. But they do it in Spider-Man No Way Home, and people were like, had a lot of questions. And then they do it in this one, and it honestly kind of raised more questions, but it also gave some confirmation of being like, oh shit, they're going there. So it's really cool, a lot of fun. I think this is just a fun show to watch, but also, you know, pretty important for where I think they're going to be taking Doomsday, or if not Doomsday, at least Secret Wars, maybe. Definitely the future of the MCU. Now, last but not least, number 5, I have Miss Marvel. Marvel Studios' Miss Marvel is a new original series that introduces Kamala Khan, a Muslim American teenager growing up in Jersey City. An avid gamer and voracious fan fiction scribe, Kamala is a superhero mega fan with an oversized imagination, particularly when it comes to Captain Marvel. Yet Kamala feels like she doesn't fit in at school and sometimes even at home. That is, up until she gets her superpowers. Like the heroes she always looked up to, life gets better with superpowers, right? Now this one, I will admit, is one of the weaker shows on this list and in this phase. However, it does introduce Kamala, another young hero. If you're kind of getting the hint here, I don't know if you are, but that's all I'm going to say. Pretty important for the future of the MCU for that alone. I mean, she's a young hero, young character. I'm just saying. Could be very, very important for the future of the MCU as we know it. Not to mention, this plays into, this show leads directly into a movie in the next phase that is, in my opinion, not super important, but could be important. I'd have to go over that list for sure to say. But nonetheless, I think this is a good one to watch just because of the fact that it introduces an entirely new character. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't include shows that also introduce new characters like Moon Knight and She-Hulk. And that's because, like I said, I'm trying to think of the future of the MCU. And while it's not been absolutely confirmed, the Moon Knight and She-Hulk have kind of been dead in the water. Whereas with Loki and WandaVision and Miss Marvel and even Hawkeye, we have confirmed some kind of confirmation that they will, go on in the future in some form or fashion. Or at least elements from those shows will. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved Moon Knight. And honestly, I'm kind of a She-Hulk defender. Not a full-on defender, but I don't know. I'm just like, I'm kind of a simpleton, I guess, when it comes to movies and TV shows. I'm like, oh, I like that movie. I like that TV show. Like, I like almost, not everything, but I mean, like, I'm not a really great critic, which is kind of weird because I started this channel. But I've never claimed to even be a movie review or critique channel. So, if that's what you're here for, I think you found the wrong guy. But I do tend to enjoy a lot of stuff. So, sue me. Either way, I think this is a solid enough show. I think it does introduce a lot of stuff, especially with her powers. And it kind of relates to Shang-Chi in a way, in my opinion. And there's a lot of theories people were throwing around. And now, granted, those could be out the window now that we are getting Doomsday. Or they could not be. So, that's all I'm going to say. Especially with the picture that the Russos recently posted about Avengers Doomsday, the one that they teased. I think it's very likely that this isn't just nothing, but again, that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. This is just my list, my opinions. If you guys disagree, you can let me know down below. But yeah, that's my 5 for the MCU Phase 4 TV shows. Let me know what you guys think of these if you go watch them for the first time, what you think of this video. Let me know your ranking down below, and what show is your favorite and why. For me, I'd probably have to go with Loki, honestly. I loved WandaVision, watching it with my wife, and us trying to figure out all the mysteries there for the first time. But I will say, I did the same with Loki with her, and I just think Loki is a more enjoyable show. However, I really like Hawkeye too. So again, I can't really pick a favorite for sure. But yeah, this is a really solid phase for TV shows. I think Marvel goes a little bit off the rails with their TV shows, especially in the next one. But you can't really, you can't really have your cake and eat it too in most cases. So I'm glad the MCU's getting back on track. Hopefully this can help you if this is your first time trekking through the MCU. And until next time, I will see you guys in Phase 5.